Brett McMurphy, tight end, as possible as anyone in America when it comes to college football news and notes. Brett McMurphy, Action Network HQ, joins us, our go-to guy. Thanks for your time. And I know sometimes you get annoyed with a lot of this realignment. We also know it scratches an itch of thousands and millions of fans. So, in your opinion, now there's a lawsuit. What is next that might happen in your opinion, or what will happen?
What everyone's waiting on now is to see what UNLV does. They're deciding whether to remain in the Mountain West or go to the Pac-12. As we're speaking right this second, it literally could change before I'm off the air with you. But right now, the Mountain West has 7 football playing members, and the Pac-12 has 7 football playing members in 2026. So the key here is UNLV. If they decide to join the Pac-12, that gets the Pac-12 to the minimum number of 8 FBS members, which you need to be a part of the FBS level and the college football playoff and all those sort of things. And that would drop the Mountain West to 6. So then the Mountain West would have to find 2 more schools. If they remain in the Mountain West, then both the Mountain West and the Pac-12 still have to go out and find another member. Also, if UNLV goes to the Pac-12, Smokey, don't be surprised if Air Force ends up in the American if UNLV leaves to go to the Pac-12. And then you're looking at the Mountain West down to 5 schools. Can they find 3 more members? Would they dissolve? Would they collapse? That's something, really to keep your eye on. And that's going to be the next domino one way or another, potentially today, certainly by the end of this week at the latest.
Brett, what are without knowing the financials of the Pac-12, why is the potential of the new Pac-12 better than the certainty of the Mountain West?
Depends on who you talk to. I think some people would say it is. Some people would say it isn't. That's a great question. And that's why the 4 schools from the American Conference, Memphis, Tulane, USF, and UTSA, who had offers to go to the Pac-12, decided to stay in the American, because what the Pac-12 is offering is projected numbers, projected media rights. They don't have a media rights contract to present that. It's like if I said, hey, I want to hire you guys, I want to take you guys off your show, I want to bring you onto my show, and here's projected what you're going to make. And you'd be like, okay, that's great. And then you show up for work the first day, and then I'm like, okay, here's your contract, and it's 1/3 of what I promised you. You're not going to be too happy. So nobody's going to make this move because they don't have anything in writing specifically how much they're going to make. It's all projections on what they think they can get in a new contract. And also, I think this, I'm sure you guys agree, take the Pac-12 name off of the conference, and all that is another version of the Mountain West. Why would that be more valuable than the current Mountain West? And certainly, why would it be more valuable than the American? I don't think it is. I think they're all the same. There's reasons why these guys aren't in power conferences. No offense to those guys. And certainly, you can shuffle around all those schools all you want. None of the schools bring a great deal of value to any of the other Group of 5 conferences. So it's, I love bad analogies. It's basically they're shuffling the deck chairs on the Titanic and figuring what group they want to be with. Because I don't think it really matters, but at the end of the day, it's about survival. They got to get the 8 football members to stay alive, and that's what they're fighting to do.
Brett, I know there was the report you had on Gonzaga. There were others that, refuted that, said that's not happening. I know that the magic's all in the wording. There's conversations going on behind the scenes. So where do we just sit from your perspective when it comes to Gonzaga and any Pac-12 possibilities?
Yeah, so I reported yesterday that Gonzaga is going to the Pac-12. What I didn't specify was when they were going to the Pac-12. You guys know me. I'm not going to throw something against the wall. I'm very confident in the individuals I talk to, the sources that I have. And you're right. Everybody else on the face of the earth said that I'm an idiot and that I'm wrong. So, choose your horse. We'll see what happens. Ultimately, I'm confident based on what I was told by the people that told me, Gonzaga will end up in the Pac-12. Are they there today? No. Are they there tomorrow? No. But they will be there. But we have to wait and see how that plays out. Certainly the Pac-12 is hoping to bring UNLV on board because they want to not only be, credible in football, but that would also be a huge boost to their basketball product if you've got the likes of San Diego State, UNLV, and a Gonzaga in your basketball conference. And why you're probably saying, why would Gonzaga want to go to that league? Well, as much as we're talking about how much the TV media deal would be worth, or simply we don't know, it would be worth a lot more than whatever Gonzaga is currently getting out of the West Coast Conference. And so they would be able to move, they don't have football, so they would move all their sports to the whatever Pac-12 form they will have in the future.
What do you think about it? What Pernetti, did? How quickly the American Conference said, "Wait a minute, let's shut this door," and everybody committed to stay with them.
Yeah, that's a big win for them because if they would have lost those three, or four potentially, what are they left with? And then where are they going to go to fill in those spots? Teams from Conference USA, maybe some teams from the Sun Belt. So no, that was very impressive by Tim Pernetti, rookie commissioner with the American, to keep all those guys on board. Ultimately, I think the schools in the American, at first, again, it's the Pac-12 name that's drawing everybody to that league. But if you it's like the blind resumes for, the NCAA tournament. Take the names off and just look at the facts and the information. It's like, okay, here are the teams we're going to be paired with. They're basically Mountain West schools. Nothing against the Mountain West. And also, you can't tell me exactly how much money I'm going to make in my new media rights deal there. And you may not be willing to pay my exit fee to leave the American. So why, again, am I changing from the American to the Pac-12? So, yeah, I think once they looked at simply the black and white numbers on everything, it was pretty obvious that they were better off staying where they're at and not making the move, because they would be just, they'd be changing houses in the same neighborhood, except they've got a lot more travel and moving expenses involved.
Brett, do you have any kind of idea at what kind of number overall the Pac is looking at once they get to 8 past it?
The number that they're projecting is somewhere between 10 and 15 million, probably around 12 million. That's what they're projecting. The problem is the Mountain West schools are worth 5 million in the Mountain West. So why are they now going to be worth double or triple that by joining forces with Oregon State and Washington State? That's what doesn't make sense for anybody that's involved in this. And now you've got the uncertainty of the Mountain West. You've got the Pac-12 suing the Mountain West over these coaching fees, which I don't want to go down a rabbit hole. It's so crazy that these schools signed this contract less than a year ago. Maybe it was a year ago, 15 months, I don't know. And now they're claiming that this, they were forced to sign it. This is invalid. So these schools that are joining the Pac-12 are trying to get out of paying $55 million in a scheduling agreement that everybody in the conference signed a year ago. So we have to see how that plays out. But certainly if the Mountain West is able to win that lawsuit or recoup the fees, whatever's left in the Mountain West, they're going to have, $155 million, I believe it is, to divide up among whatever schools are left behind. So certainly that would make the Mountain West attractive for UNLV and Air Force to stay on board. But again, I've been told that there's a lot of donors at UNLV that are mesmerized by that Pac-12 brand, that Pac-12 name, and they want to make the move. So ultimately, we'll see who wins out in Vegas.
Brett, I remember this time last year when all of the dust was finally starting to settle on the Pac and the ACC and the Big 12 and everything that was going on there. when we started to look forward, the word consolidation was brought up quite a bit, like that was going to be the next kind of thing. And obviously Florida State has taken most of the headlines over the last year, but is some of this what's going on? Not necessarily in the biggest conferences, but is this the consolidation that maybe people were referring to?
Yeah, I mean, it's very possible. And again, I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of people think, well, if the Pac-12 gets up to back to 8 members again, then they're going to be one of the power conferences. No, that's gone. Goodbye. That's never going to happen again. We've gone from 6 power conference leagues when the Big East was around to 5, and then the Pac-12 went away, and now we're down to 4. The commissioners of the 4 power conferences are not going to say, oh, hey, Pac-12, you know what? We feel bad. It used to be a power conference, and now you've got your membership back up. So now we're gonna divide up all our money by 5 instead of by 4. That ain't happening. So yeah, I think the consolidation continues to happen, whether it's fewer number of power conferences or whether it's fewer group of 5 or non-power conferences. And I think this continues until we get to the end game, which I don't know what that's going to be, but it's the point where we may just have 2 power conferences, and then whatever else in whatever configuration, college athletics ends up in somewhere down the road.
So why would the Pac? I mean, I'm still getting confused about why they just wouldn't merge.
So am I.
I mean, like
money.
Why?
Money.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Okay.
It's all money. No, you're absolutely right. That's a valid question. You basically have 16 schools out there, and you could have merged them together. But the problem is you've got 2 different groups of schools. And, it's not like the NFL where you've got the AFC and the NFC. It's like you've got the NBA trying to merge with the NFL. You've got 2 different groups that have their own, that want to lead or it to be their conference. So the Pac-12 doesn't want to lose their name. So they don't want to join up with the Mountain West, because then, technically they could lose some of the revenue they get from the former Pac-12 schools as far as NCAA tournament units, college football playoff money, all those different things. The Mountain West, if they go and, well, the Pac-12 never wanted all the Mountain West schools, so that's why they didn't merge. And then the Pac-12 didn't want to merge with the Mountain West, because then they would have lost all their college football playoff revenue and NCAA basketball units. But you're right. I mean, if they could have figured out a way to do it where both conferences were made full and they could agree on who would, can't have 2 commissioners for one league, and you figure out those sort of things, I think that would have been the best scenario. I agree with you. But like everything else in college football, what's best for the Pac-12 may not be best for the Mountain West. What's best for the Big Ten may not be what's best for the Big 12. And the conferences do not work together. They do what's best for their own individual conferences, and I understand that. They have to answer to their president. But that's why they didn't get this thing figured out. And now because of that, both the futures of both conferences are literally at risk, independent on getting to 8 football schools. And, their options right now all smell like bad fish.
Brett, on the field, because there's that going on as well. We all expected after the realignment of last year that the Big 12 would be a really interesting and entertaining conference, and I think so far we've definitely seen that come to fruition. You had Baylor's loss to Colorado, which was at the top of all the headlines last week. You got Oklahoma State losing in Stillwater to Utah, benching Bowman, bringing him back. You have BYU blowing out Kansas State in Provo. Just what stood out to you maybe from what you've seen from this league so far, and just what do you think as we get conference play fully underway?
Well, I thought it was going to be chaos, and it's pretty much started out that way. I never could have imagined, though, that I'm an Oklahoma State alum, but I never could have imagined that without Cam Rising, Utah would be able to beat Oklahoma State, and I never would have imagined that Oklahoma State's offense and defense has not looked very good. I mean, Ollie Gordon has not looked anything like last year. That's been a surprise. I picked Utah to win the league. They still look good. Certainly they need Rising back at some point. UCF and Iowa State, which were, two of the 8 teams I said had a chance to win it. They look in good position. I was stunned Kansas State got rolled by BYU. I didn't think BYU I didn't think BYU gets a bowl. And now, I've got them in my AP top 25 ballot. So I just think this is going to be a year-long thing. There's going to be incredible games, crazy finishes. Sorry, too soon, Baylor fans.
Oh.
And it's not going to stop. And again, that's why when I talked to you guys earlier in the year, I think I'm afraid that the Big 12 doesn't get a runner-up in the playoffs, because I think that runner-up is going to have 2, 3, maybe 4 losses, and that's simply not going to put him in the top 12. But everything surprised me, but then again, nothing really surprises me with this league, because you saw the first game out of the gate 2 weeks ago. UCF wins by 1 because TCU misses a last-second field goal. I think that was just kind of a preview of what to expect every week. And I think every week we're going to have, whether it's the Hail Mary with Colorado, where it's the TCU missing a last-second field goal, Oklahoma State down 19 with 4 minutes to go, and they've got an onside kick to try to tie it. I mean, I think that's going to be the norm instead of the exception. There's all these crazy, crazy finishes, which will be great for TV viewerships, but it'll be bad for the coaches and the impending ulcers that they're going to have.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a league of parity, and I agree with you. It's going to be really tough to foresee where they get a second playoff team, just because, like you said, that team's likely to have 3 or 4 losses perhaps. You touched on it a little bit, but let's go ahead and pull the scab all the way off. What were your thoughts as you watched the end of Colorado-Baylor last week?
I actually didn't see it live,
okay.
So I did see the I guess they're called lowlights around Waco. Yeah, I mean, there's so many games like that you're like, you look back and it's coulda, woulda, shoulda won the game, and you didn't. And that could, is that a turning point in the season for Colorado and or Baylor? I don't know. I mean, you look at Baylor the rest of the way, and they're either a single-digit favorite or single-digit underdog in the remaining schedule, except for at Iowa State. They'll be over a double-digit underdog. So literally, Baylor sitting there at 2-2, they could end up legitimately. They could end up anywhere between 8-4 and 4-8. And it's going to come down to these last-minute decisions, these last-minute plays. Can you convert? Can you avoid the turnover? A million different things. And that's what makes this league so tough, is there are no layups. There are no gimmies where you just kind of like, okay, this week, Baylor had its gimme, and that was in the opener against Tarleton State. And after that, every week's going to be a battle. How do you come back off an emotional game like that? If I'm Baylor, I think they're actually in a good position, or getting BYU off a huge upset. You would think BYU may come in flat off this game. The question is, how does Baylor get up off the mat after such a disappointing loss at Colorado? I think this is a huge, huge game for Baylor, because if they lose this, realistically, probably not going to win at Iowa State, and then you're 2-4 going into the break with, the back half of the schedule, hoping to finish 4-2 and get to a bowl game.
Brett, and thank you. I know you're busy. In fact, has anything changed? Has anyone left? Has anyone changed their mind since you came on with us about 20 minutes ago?
Well, my phone hadn't blown up, so I think we're safe. But
we're good.
Yeah, give it another 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. You do a great job. You know that. We know that, and others who follow you know that too. So we appreciate it.